What's funny about hospice? I was a volunteer in hospice almost 45 years ago while still a teen, and I worked in hospice care most of my professional life as a physician. What could possibly be funny about death and dying? To be honest, it's not your typical comedy subject, but that doesn't mean patients and staff don't appreciate a good laugh. Mama used to say, remember in life, it's not the destination, it's the gurney. Often, terminally ill patients will initiate jokes to express acceptance or connect with loved ones. Also, they may not appreciate the glum faces surrounding them all the time. Patients may even discuss planning a funeral or celebration of life that is festive and funny. We went to the funeral home to pre-plan for it. My husband told me, I want my ashes to be turned into a racquetball racket engraved with a representation of my epiglottis. I told him, I want my ashes sprinkled in the ocean so I can be fish food and donate a bench in the park so people can plant their asses on my name. Then we went to the cemetery to pick out a tiny piece of real estate. We walked to the very top of the hill, and I said to the funeral director, I like the view. We'll take it. And make sure we don't have any noisy neighbors. I want peace in the afterlife. Donna, my mother was very practical, maybe too practical. When I was planning my advance directives, I made sure not to call her. If I said, Ma, I'm dying, I've got a terminal illness, then ask her to sign as a witness to my will, she'll bring a pen and a pillow. And before the ink is dry, she'll be saying, here, let me hold this to your face. Humor is a coping mechanism, and it's one of the most effective and healthiest ways to cope with scary and stressful situations. Allow people facing death to live their last days with dignity, and that includes allowing them to be themselves. If they spent their life cracking jokes at the world's everyday weirdness, who are we to tell them to stop when they most need that humor? Comedy is also a coping mechanism for families and healthcare staff, too. Nursing homes and hospice are some of the most stressful kinds of healthcare work. It's easy to burn out when your patients are in pain, getting sicker, and dying. The 36 years that I worked in geriatrics, in hospitals, nursing homes, and hospice taught me that the only way to survive that brutal type of healthcare situation was to have the very best coping skills. Working with great healthcare teams who are well bonded and can laugh at the appropriate times diffuses so much day-to-day tension. My friend is a life coach. I'm a hospice doctor, kind of a death coach. People are always giving first responders discounts and recognition. What about the people whose job it is to sit at the bedside and hold a dying person's hand or ease their distress? The people I've worked with for decades in nursing homes and hospice are unsung heroes. Nobody wants to do that for a living except extraordinarily special people, and I've been blessed to work with them. It is great to recognize first responders, but how come last responders don't get any respect? Heck, not even a freaking discount on a movie ticket. We didn't laugh at patients, but we did laugh with patients. And sometimes we just laughed at the absurdity of the situation. That's not disrespectful, it's survival. For the staff, anyway. As the German poet Christian Gellert said, live as you will have wished to have lived when you are dying. On morphine? Humor that isn't mean, derogatory, or angry brings comfort and human connection. That's the hardest humor to write, but it's the best kind of comedy to deliver. Hospice patients who are facing the toughest time of their lives need people surrounding them who are unafraid to empathize and show compassion. And if appropriate, don't be afraid to bring comfort through humor. Laughter in hospice can be very healing to those who are open to it.